So on the subject of Adrian Brody and Sean Paul, let me now close off this SNL50 celebration now with the 50th anniversary special, which aired Sunday night, right? So there's a bit, right, where Tom Hanks introduced it, right? Yeah, where I love how he presented to where, we're gonna do this in memoriam moment for all these sketches that have not aged well at all because they were just
Right.
politically and just culturally incorrect, right? And
Right.
I love how he says, just keep in mind, folks, that you guys, you laughed at it. So if anybody should
Right.
be cancelled, it should be you. I love that. I love how
Right.
he dropped that. And
Yeah.
yes, one of
It
the
have
moments
that.
that they show was
Is
Adrian Brody with the Ras
right. Yeah.
bareback doing the Sean Paul, doing the Shana Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot
They
about
tell
that
him.
shit.
What happens that they tell me he didn't keep it. Wasn't greenlit.
Oh,
Nobody
really?
thought it was. No, that's why he was banned because it was like, yeah, he was not allowed to do that. Like he just decided he wanted to just do a bit now. Like I was like, yeah, this is like it's totally crazy. I remember watching this live, but I
All
didn't really
right.
get banned for it.
All right, but question. This was the monologue.
No, what it was he was introducing Sean Paul as he was the host. If I remember
On
correctly, he
what
was the
Sean
host.
Paul was a guest. Oh
Was
shit.
the musical guest. Was the musical
Ooh.
guest, and he decided to do this bit before to introduce Sean Paul. If I remember correctly, look back up.
Oh
But that's what I
god,
remember. Another
no.
person I remember who get banned permanently. I think Martin Lawrence. So Martin Lawrence has a sketch. Sorry, he had a opening monologue that was super terrible. Like I don't know what the hell that was. But usually with comedians, he'll do a stand-up set, and he went on something involving like seriously, I can't remember what it was because you can probably still find it online. He went on a whole diatribe about something with involving we call it menstrual blood or something like that. Like he's trying to be gross now. And
Uh-huh.
it was just not landing at all, Jared. And so but I remember seeing it. I remember watching it in the rerun on Comedy Central. And when it is he start talking, they cut it, like in the re-airing on Comedy Central.
Right.
But I remember they just and show a message saying this is why they cut it, blah 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 blah, and then they cut it back to the end of it. So I didn't see the whole of it. So that is that. Another surprise, more stuff didn't come up, which I sure gonna get cut because most of that's super politically correct now. Robert Smigel. Robert Smigel, if you know who he is, he most popularly known for Conan O'Brien's character, the dog, this puppet dog that's for me to poop on.
Oh, not Triumph. Is it Triumph?
I'm the insult comic dog.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Right.
keyed that bullshit. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. So that guy, I don't know. I like Triumph. I think Triumph funny, but he used to do a bunch of like animation stuff. So he had like the ambiguously gay duo and like during like the Iraq War, that period, they had a bunch of sketches. That stuff don't age well at all. Like, listen, some of it was kind of funny at the time, but boy, that shit that don't hold up at all, Jared.
Yeah,
Like,
in particular that ambiguously gay duo. Okay, I remember that. I was
that don't
like,
hold up.
oof,
That don't hold
no.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that don't hold up.
which
But
is
the
also
whole
brought
joke,
up, in that in memoriam montage, and
right?
I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that they did that. Yes, they brought it
So
up.
the joke, yeah, the whole joke is like it's Batman and Robin.
Yeah, but they
I
keep saying no, we're not gay. Why you keep
Right.
saying that we're
And then
gay? That's a joke, right?
everything
Yeah.
is a penis reference or something like that.
Yes. Mhm.
They had but they had stuff like ex-presidents, which was kind of funny. I remember being funny. But they have one I think don't hold up at all. I remember being like, wow, they actually make this. And listen, at the time I remember thinking it was funny, which was look up somebody called Saddam and Osama, where it's like a kind of like a Korean anime of Saddam and Osama, but like it's shown on Abu Dhabi television. Like like it's layers of like parody now. And they have this one sketch that I cannot believe they let that get through, which is they have like they're selling like stickers for kids, but it's Arabic kids, and the joke is that you get to put these stickers on the rocks to throw at Israeli tanks. I like fucking hell, SNL. What the hell? How they let that green light?
I know, right?
Like wow, that's real dark though. And they
Yeah.
play it like a kid's ad. Like you get to stick Pikachu or you get to stick a butterfly on your rock,
Mhm.
so you can throw at an Israeli tank. And like what? Like 900. At the time, that shit was controversial. So far as for now, like holy hell, that is a whole thing though. They had like they made fun of the Batman. I remember that. So the joke was, Batman, but like it's Batman versus the Jew. But they show the Joker and the Penguin, and the joke is that Batman fighting the Jews. That's the whole joke.
Oh
And
God.
like way better. Like, that shit, I mean,
Wow.
it's funny because of how edgy it is. It's edgy 2000s humor. Like this was 2000, I forget, 2002 or 2003 or 2004. I forget when it was. But like, wow, they let us on air though. And then they had like a bunch of other stuff. Like look up Christmas Time for the Jews. Look up that. You can find that. That not super controversial, but like it's funny on its own right. But like, yeah, they can't air that now. Like, another one is shit, it has some that one that's slipping my mind right. But it had a bunch of like these animated things that are just super gross and just edgy. And yeah, it's total like adult swim stuff.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
that.
But
Yeah,
but
no, it's that
but
just right.
yeah, but quick question. Did you see that bit, the in memoriam sketch?
No, I know what you I know what you I
Oh,
see
okay,
that.
all right. So,
Right.
the moments that I'll mention, they're actually up right now on their website, right? Or sorry, on their YouTube channel, including, and I forgot to mention this, the debut episode of Saturday Night Live, right? Which I'll talk
Right.
quickly. It was refreshing watching that after finally seeing Saturday Night, right? Which, yes, I do agree with you, Ricardo. It's a brilliant film. I would say that the mere fact that it was not nominated for best original screenplay, boy,
Right.
that kind of hurt me, boy, because I thought that the
Well,
writing
I
for
mean,
that was so well done,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's
I mean, I
just
get it. I can understand why it didn't get through, but like, yeah, it still was like good. Like, why? Because why it work is how it contextualized law and
yes,
the
exactly.
whole and the generational stuff. Like they played the whole the old gods versus the new gods kind of aspect of it, and he compare himself to Prometheus. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made a lot of great calls. And well, as I say, if you saw we call him J.K. Simmons cameo in it, it's great.
Oh yes, and
I
Milton
love his
Bill,
role.
him
Yes, and
against
yes,
Chevy Chase, boy. That moment, boy,
yes,
you
yes,
feel that tension. It was like,
yeah,
oh
yeah. And
shit, boy.
they really nailed that generational divide with it because like Chevy Chase, you know, at the time, Milton Berle, like I don't know how accurate that interaction would have been, to be honest, right? But yeah, you know, Milton Berle was right. He was like the dominant paradigm of what, you know, comedy was, like for a
Yeah.
lot of people. It's like, yeah, you know
But
me
to
as
be fair,
popular.
in that scene, Milton was on shit too, but
No, yeah, that's the whole point.
but
That's
Chevy
the whole
was on
point.
shit too, eh? That's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, the whole point is to dress down people now because like I
Yes.
think Chevy started it. Like Chevy started it. Like
He did, yeah. Yeah,
right.
because
And
he
the
was
whole point
talking
is not
to some girl
because
that
there's
he
like
was
this
like Milton was
right.
tracking some girl, but it's somebody
But it's
that
his
Chevy
gear.
was in, right. His girl, and he's
Right,
like,
it's his gear,
nah,
right.
who the fuck is this old man doing this, boy? And then
Right.
it just lead to this like just in one insult
Clash.
after the next. But I was like,
Yeah.
wait, it's
This clash.
real hard, boy. You know? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great. It's a great bit. Like
yeah,
but like, that's the whole point. Like it's just this whole the nature of comedy and how it is. Because sorry to say it, you're unfortunately you're only gonna flourish in the time you exist. Like if Milton Berle was now, he could have get away with a lot of different stuff. And but like other times in terms of like how we think about race or we think about like, you know, sex, gender, whatever it is, like you know, all these things, right? And they nail that. They nail that generational, like you really feel like a passing of the torch aspect of it now, right? For better for worse. Like and that way Cyanide is excellent. Like I really thought it was great. Yeah, go ahead.
yes, it was right. So seeing the debut episode for myself, it was surreal, boy, because it's almost like you're just seeing like it's still part of the movie that you're watching, right? It is rough around the edges though, like, but it's really interesting seeing how the presentation is like George Carlin showing up a few times, and all he
Right?
just doing is just stand up. That's all he's doing. He's not
Yeah,
part of these sketches at all. He's just doing these stand up
yeah,
performances. There's a couple of guest performances, and you actually do see them perform, or sorry, do their rehearsals in the movie itself. I thought that was really cool. It was interesting seeing Chevy Chase do the weekend update thing. You saw him do it in
right,
in the rehearsal, right? Also,
right,
John Belushi, right? Him opening up doing the cold open,
right. Yeah,
which is what ended the movie, right? That was really
yeah,
cool as well, right? What catch me, boy, because they never show it in the movie, right? Was Jim Henson. And
yeah.
when I was thinking about it, right? Jim Henson. Oh shit, Muppet
He was the
Show. Oh, so
Muppet Show,
after
right?
this,
Yep,
he
yeah,
branched out and do
yeah.
Muppet Show. Holy shit.
Yeah, Muppet Show is basically Muppets SNL.
Muppets
That's it.
SNL, look at that, right? And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but the bit that man did though, just that segment is like some of the weirdest Muppet stuff I have ever seen. But it kind
yeah,
of work, because again, it's that mid-70s counterculture thing, right? So it's him basically saying, look, this is kind of basically shit for people to get high to, it's just these
right.
weird, monstrous looking characters that's kind of going about. But
So
like,
they
if
made
you
it
just watch it individually, it's some shit to get high to, but the mere fact that this aired in our debut episode of a late night TV show blows
Exactly.
my mind. And I'm
Well,
like, wow, what is this?
I think with Jim Henson, I think I forget what it was. Early Jim Henson was, I don't know if this was Jim Henson. I think it was, but very early Jim Henson, where he did I think coffee commercials, and it was like Comedy Frog, like, or at least a proto version of Comedy Frog, like being very violent, and that's the joke. Like, it's just a different paradigm of how his career and how he was, and that counterculture, because that's when that whole beatnik to hippie to the 70s counterculture aspect of it was evolving. And so that's the whole thing, right? Because again, it's what? It's 75. So they're still reeling from civil rights and, all these little things now. And that is he is really interesting in the context of all of this. Like,
Yes.
that way also it really works in that way now.
Right. And last point before we get to the special, right, is seeing Andy Kaufman, do the
Kaufman,
Mighty
right,
Mouse
yeah.
bit, yeah, because
Yeah,
they did it
yeah.
in the movie,
Man on the
right?
Moon?
Yeah.
Man on the Moon, yeah.
Right. That Man on the Moon was what introduced me to that, right? Especially that,
Right.
here I come to save the
Right,
day. Like,
right, the
that
Mighty
bit
Mouse
is
bit,
great,
yeah.
right? But that
Yeah.
to me, right, just the mere fact that was in the debut episode of SNL blew my mind, right? Because
Yeah.
that is, I would say, one of the first examples of absurdist humor in SNL, and that has become
right.
that has become like just one of the staples of SNL. You always have to throw in something absurd, something that just so weird, but it's so funny at the same time. And yeah, I would say it still lives on, that absurdist humor. That is in SNL's DNA, up to this day.
Yeah, it's one of the first like viral things, like the idea of virality, in a sense, because it play with, because people would have been recording with it. Yeah, there's when the VCR or at least the Betamax would have been out at the time. Again, the idea to record television, or at least to record something on television. Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, that was kind of viral. That was, this weird Andy Kaufman bit that we keep talking about, and then in New York, like, here's the thing, it won't be global, but within New York, when we think about the internet and global like virality of pop culture, it was already done in New York, like the equivalent of that in New York, because you gotta get something if you know where to look. You gotta get something. In terms of like just that thing spreading around. It's the reason why hip hop, flourished in New York, right? Because a mixtape spread, right, and it spread fast, like that kind of thing now. And the idea of it spreading. Oh, by the way, I only learned this after the fact. You could literally call into the New York Library to get a piece of information almost on the fly immediately, and it'll look it up for you. This is before Wikipedia. This is before Wikipedia.
All right.
So, right. So that idea of just looking up something and finding it out without you looking for it, is interesting. Like, I don't think anybody else was doing that. The New York Library could do that. So, the template of what we think of like a kind of proto network or the proto internet, for lack of a better term, was New York City. That is why New York City is so influential historically, especially via comedy. And that's a whole thing by itself. Now, again, we could go into a big, like, deep rabbit hole, and I'm sure I'm not accurate about all of this, but like, to me, Andy Kaufman, that's one. And then, they reference Lenny Bruce, right, with George Carlin. That was great too. Like,
yes. I love how they call him like some
Right.
bargain
Right.
basement.
Right.
Some dollar store Lenny Bruce. When I heard, I was like, all right, sure.
Right.
All right, again, it should have been nominated Dread Best Original Screenplay, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they get into the end, they nail the energy of all of these things coming together and emerging, creating this emergent phenomena that is effectively what we call Saturday Night Live today. That, it dominates pop culture. Like, it before this was different, so different about the world now. It's really a flashpoint now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. So now, finally, it's the closings off now. You'll talk about the special, right? So, in addition to that in memoriam moment, which absolutely worked for me, right? Because there were bits and moments that I forget, just some stock characters that, actors play that don't hold up at all, right? I love the fact that they had a clip with Diddy. I love that. I saw that, I was like, yep. Somebody addressed that. Yep. Thank you. That was great, right? So I would say so here's the thing, in my mind when I was watching this, right? Because again, daylight savings and all that kind of stuff, right? It started at 9 p.m. in Trinidad, right? So I did thinking that this is going to be a 3-hour event. I surprised when it reached midnight now that, it have a half hour again. By that time, dude, I was just tired. I was just like, look, I had things to do, Trinidad. Like, sorry. I'll try to see what happened afterwards. But I went up on their YouTube channel, but I haven't seen any new sketches. So maybe the show show ended by the time I turned off the TV. I don't know, right? What I will say, well, first off, did you watch it, right?
What's that?
The 50th anniversary special which aired Sunday night.
I watched some of it.
Okay,
I don't watch
okay,
the whole.
but you didn't watch from the
I watch.
beginning.
I watch. I watch. No, yeah. I watch. No, I watch the opening sketch. I watch the monologue. That was what do you call him?
Steve Martin, that's what it is. Yeah, Steve Martin did
Steve Martin, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was cool seeing him. But yes, overall though, I like that it was just again, just like the homecoming concert, it was just a reunion though. It was just, the big comedic hosts and guests who show up, including the musicians as well too, right? It was cool seeing Tina Fey and Impala together. They did like this nice little Q&A thing. And yeah, it's an opportunity for people to pop up and show their face and make jokes, right? Points for Jason Momoa popping up and making a little joke. That was really cool. Yeah. Sketches were alright for what they were, right? Because it's anniversary special, I will let this slide. I'll let it slide. Yes, they are retreading old bits, right? So like the most recent one doing is this whole Domingo thing that I noticed the last few episodes of SNL50 have been doing.
Right.
Yeah,
Which I don't think that's funny, but
no,
personally, I don't think that's
it's not. Yeah, the
Yeah,
whole
no,
wedding.
yeah.
There's
I
the
get
whole wedding. Post wedding thing,
Right.
and the joke is you have the bride's friends coming doing this
Right.
performance, and pretty much saying,
Performance.
oh, she cheat on you, haha, and that's
Right,
a joke,
right.
right? But the sell is you're taking your musical guests and putting them front and
Right.
center. So in this
Right.
case, it was Sabrina Carpenter who. I mean, yeah, she's looked nice and shit, but like I don't know much about her music. But I remember when she performed. I remember when she was the musical guest. But in this case, I think this is like the first time we really see her in a SNL sketch. That was cool, right?
Right. But what I watched, what I saw was again, I saw the Weekend Update one, which was pretty good. I thought that was pretty
It
fun.
was. I really
And
really enjoyed that.
bring back some classics. Although it's a shame they didn't bring back, in my humble opinion, one of the best characters, which is Taron Killam's Jedediah Atkinson. That shit he is one of the funniest characters, and one of the funniest people in this.
I need to look up that character. I'm not familiar with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Look up Jedediah Atkinson. That shit was funny as hell. But he also did Mokiki Dread, and Mokiki is a classic dread. Anyway.
Right. But it was cool bringing Bill Murray dread. That was cool, and I do like the whole top 10.
that was
Weekend
great.
Update host. That was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah. That's funny, but they made they did that, and then I watched Black Jeopardy, which was pretty good.
Yes, that was one of the first sketches that they brought. That was really really great though.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's a shame they couldn't do the original Jeopardy. Well, what happens is that who was playing they could do the original Jeopardy because Will Ferrell came back.
Yeah. I used to love when he was playing the Alex Trebek character. The street man. You talk about the guy who played Sean Connery. Oh, by the way, that bit was in memorial moment there, because I still think that shit is hilarious though. Yeah, but yeah, there's bits that that Sean character did that was very very crass.
Both Sean Connery and Ting died. Alex Trebek passed now, but then they also had Burt Reynolds, which was played by
who played him again? Boy, shit, I forget.
No, McDonald, right? No, McDonald.
Yes.
Right, that was funny too. And but I don't know. They could have bring back because he's the voice of SNL now. He replaced Don Pardo after Don Pardo passed away now.
Right.
The fellows who's do Sean Connery. If I remember correctly, I think it's him. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's that. I felt they could have done both. They could have bring back normal funny Jeopardy and thing. Whatever.
Yeah, but the Black Jeopardy bit was really great though.
Yeah, that's classic. Yeah.
I was never a fan of the alien abduction bits where it's Kate McKinnon and the two other people in the Pentagon. Yeah. It was they get Woody Harrelson and they get Pedro Pascal to be the two other abductees. But yeah, the cell is Kate just being this over-sexualized girl. They talk about, the aliens stretch my legs like this, blah, blah, blah. I think they get, I think it's Meryl Streep coming to play her mom or something like that. I confused her with Glenn Close for some weird reason, but it's Meryl Streep, right? I watch the cheeks, it's Meryl Streep, right? But yeah, I was never a fan of that, even though when Kate does those bits, she's always kind of break into laughter. That's always the cell. Like she would just be so outrageous, she just kind of crack up laughing, and everybody else would crack up laughing.
They got Drunk Uncle to come back, which is again one.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that in Weekend Update.
The girl, I forget her name. Who played this kind of airheady kind of character. But here's the thing: he have another character which was really funny too. Was the guy like an Italian guy who's kind of like the male version of that female character who was just like confusing things, and she's just
Oh,
confused, and she get pregnant in the bit, like that's the joke.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Right.
I
So it's that.
forgot the characters themselves, but yeah, I remember
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
actors. Yeah. And I think the last bit that I saw, this was close to midnight. Well, close to the 3 hour mark, right? Was the sort of skate street kind of thing where it's these three
Right.
teams, and one of
I
them is
saw
played
that.
by
I
Mikey
saw that.
D, and you have
Well,
Keenan
yeah.
and Eddie Murphy, trying to skate them street,
Well,
right?
but they had Eddie and Will Ferrell together in a sketch for the first time. I think that's the first
Yes,
time they ever.
yes.
Yeah.
Now, because it's live, right? And I have to confess some folks, right? This is, believe it or not, the first SNL episode I have ever seen live, I've never
Okay.
seen SNL live in my life because these things start at 11:30, and if you try that,
Yeah.
with daylight savings, that means 12:30. I had seen it for
Okay.
an hour and a half after that, at least, unless it's some,
I
some
I used
big
to
pay per
watch.
view, something.
So no, like I used to watch SNL and like Conan late because I just like if I was studying. So Saturday night I would be like studying late, and that's the only reason I'd be. So that's the first time I would have stay up to
Okay.
actually like just take, and then when I'm studying, I'll study and then take a break to either watch Conan or SNL on Saturday night.
All right.
Like if I
Well,
was studying.
I will just confess that
That's
I have never been a late night show
right.
connoisseur. Like I've never gone out of my
Right.
way to watch late night
And then,
content.
then, then
Yeah.
eventually when I come on campus, that was just a big late night run to do everything anyway. Like most of your time was that. Like it's just you wake up 10 p.m. and then you go to sleep 4 a.m. because you had a lime, and then there's late night runs, and I there was a show that totally embodied my lifestyle around that time, and it came out at that time. Look up Dave Attell had a show called Insomniac on Comedy Central.
Oh, I
That shit was
remember that. Yes,
yes.
yes, that was
That show
hard.
totally embodied my life during that period. It's just that late night thing, man,
Nice.
of just effing around and just seeing like late night shit, and like, oh yeah,
Mm.
right, the world totally different when everything closed down.
Yeah,
But
boy.
it's not terrible. It just this is that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's to wrap things up, right? So yes, this is the first time I've seen this live, right? So I could excuse the little hiccups when it comes to the acting and whatnot, right? Because again, it's live, right? And then, but in this case, because it's just a celebration of 50 years, I can let it slide, right? But yeah, in that bit in particular with Eddie Murphy and Will Ferrell and Keenan Thompson, yeah, there were bits where Eddie kind of stumbled on the lines, like the delivery and whatnot. There were bits where he just kind of forgot what to say or just didn't read the cue cards, whatever. Yeah, there was a little, there were little hiccups here or there. I forgot to mention too, there was one called Bronx Talk where Mike Myers showed back up as the,
Right,
as the
right.
the old Jewish woman, who always
Oh no, yeah,
do the whole
that's a
foot
classic.
clamped. I'm so foot
Yeah,
clamped.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so foot clamped. And discuss
Talk
amongst
amongst
yourselves.
yourself.
Yeah,
Talk amongst
talk about
yourself. Yeah,
about
that's a
yourselves. Yeah. They brought it back. They brought it back. I was like,
yeah,
what?
that's a classic.
Yeah, I remember that from the Comedy Central, seeing it in syndication, right? So it's cool seeing that. Yeah, they bring back the OG Mike Myers, right? So yeah, but yeah, outside of that, I have no, or I should say, as far as performances go, okay, so Miley Cyrus did a performance with this other lady. I forgot the name right now. Alright, so I had to drop this last joke before we wrap things up, right? Lil Wayne performed alongside the Roots. He did,
Right.
let me just say, like a 5 minute melody, right? And while I was watching this, I was like, I feel like this was like if he had gotten through the Super Bowl show last week,
I know you
this
trying
is
to
what he
yeah.
would have done. This is what he would have done.
Everything,
Even
I remember
right down to the censoring of his lyrics. I was like,
saw-
yep,
no, I
that's
saw-
what it is. Hmm?
I saw this, and it was really felt like that. But I think in my head, you'd still probably not pull off the Super Bowl. I'm not sure, but whoever. Like in my humble opinion, like again, if it was me making the choice and not like whoever in charge of Super Bowl, probably Jay-Z or whoever, it would have been the Hot Boys. Like just been the Hot Boys with Lil Wayne.
Yeah,
Right?
but you
So
see,
it'll be on
Ricardo,
fresh.
you see the level of talent and people. You see the amount of people, you see the amount of actors and musicians come to this thing. You think anybody know who Juvenile and BG is?
No.
But in my
For the
head,
Super
yes,
Bowl.
you're right. For the Super Bowl, yeah, of course, Hot
Super
Boys,
Bowl.
yeah,
For the,
right.
for the Super Bowl. Now I'm saying like if Lil Wayne wouldn't have been able to do it by himself. I still do think so. In my humble opinion, he don't have the energy. Let's admit it, the brain kind of cooked from the lean. Let's admit that.
Look,
right?
I still defend his Hip Hop 50 performance that he did for that set that he did for the NAS concert 2 years ago. That was
Right.
great. That was great. But
Yeah.
yeah, since then I've not seen that
I
energy
find
when
no,
it comes to his
I find
performances.
when he did that performance, he did that performance for wrestling for WrestleMania. It was terrible.
Yep,
I like
I
most
remember that.
people will get
Yeah,
this dread. That's why I was like worried. But like if it was the Hot Boys for thing, if it was Hot Boys and them, get Juvie, get like a big like push for Louisiana and Atlanta, wherever it is. Sorry, Louisiana them. For the what is it called, the 305, whoever it is. Get that. You can even get John Batista, whoever it is, come through because he's from there too.
oh yeah,
That
okay,
is
I,
it.
I didn't know that.
Right. So you can get all of that. But yeah, like I still don't think that little will be able to pull it off. Sorry.
Yeah, but
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
but again, like I just couldn't help but think that this could have been what he would have done last week if he got the chance to perform, right? But other than that, I mean, his performance was decent, right? Not great, but decent. For that for what he was given to do, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, even though like I don't know at the moment if anything happened after the 3 hour mark, I'll have to rewatch. I'll have to look it up and see if anything did happen. But for what I saw, it was just really it was nice, right? Again,
Yeah.
first time seeing an SNL episode, because technically that's what it was. I love the fact that, even though it is a 50th anniversary celebration, I love that it is essentially this extended episode. That makes a lot of sense, right? But it was cool just seeing, old cast members, new cast members, recent ones come together, enjoy themselves, have fun, poke fun at each other. It was great, right? Even Reverend Al Sharpton and oh gosh, the actor from Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm forgetting his name right now. Well, yeah, Raymond himself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ray
they pop.
Romano.
Yeah, Ray Romano show up to it like, all right, okay,
Right.
all right, yeah. So it was like a who's who of just big talent, right? And yeah, it's just really this big celebration of the longevity of SNL, right? So as I close things off here, right? As we wrap up this episode here, right? Yeah, it's amazing that this show has made it to this milestone. Its influence will continue to resonate over the years, though. Just the mere fact that it just gave birth to so much, talented, actors, right? Comedic or otherwise, right? Just the legends, whether it's Eddie Murphy or Chris Farley, or Judd Belushi or Adam Sandler, right? Came from the show, right? They cut the teeth literally with the show, right? You see its influence in other shows like In Living Color or The Muppet Show, right? Stuff like that, right? You see its influence back in like the late 70s up to now, right? You see its influence today, right? So yeah, I mean, sky's the limit, right? I feel like just as more as the more pop culture changes over the years, I think that this show will continue to grow and evolve. And I think that's the key to its longevity, right? Just being able to be in touch with the times, just growing and evolving, and yeah, just pulling the best and brightest and just giving them 90-minute showcase to just do what they literally were put on this earth to do, right? That's like the biggest takeaway from me, right? So whether I don't have to be a comedian, I don't have to be a musician or a rapper or whatever, but I could watch it and be like, wow, like this is like, what are the levels that I want to take my craft to. It'll be that I could be able to be put on stage live in front of the world and show it off there for 90 minutes and just crush it there. I want to reach that level, right? So yeah, I could see more people being influenced by, the 5 decades of material that SNL gave us, right? Whether it's through the comedy or the acting or the writing or the music, right? You could pull so much from it and just be inspired and just elevate your craft or whatnot, right? And yeah, I mean, I think the sky is a little bit from here, man. I think that this show will be, it's literally the variety show equivalent of The Simpsons, where it could end,
Right.
but really, is there a way like it could realistically end, but I don't think, given where it's at and just
Well,
how it's able to
given
evolve,
yeah.
I don't
No,
think
yeah,
that it
it's
will
a kind
end
of
anytime soon, and
no,
I'll
yeah,
stop there.
SNL, much like with The Simpsons, SNL is one of these kind of pop culture hyper objects that just could stick around for a hot minute. And I, here's the hot take. I do think it not gonna last over Lawn. That is my hot take. When Lawn passes, SNL probably gonna die with him. Because I'm trying to think of who could take over and run the show the same way. Like off the top of my head, it was probably like Tina Fey maybe, or probably Keenan, maybe, but I've not seen the show flourishing after Lorne passes. To be honest, like the show is Lorne. It's him. He goes, the show goes. I think so. That is my hot take on this. So yeah, it's gonna last, but I'm not sure how long it gonna last. Like that is my take. So yeah.
I agree with you. That's actually a very like rational way to look at things, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, SNL has turned 50. I am glad to have been able to consume this content, even though it wasn't in its entirety, with the exception of that Ladies and Gentlemen doc, which I strongly recommend you check out. But yeah, SNL has turned 50, so here's hoping that we will see it turn 55, or 60, whatever, right? And yeah, sky's the limit once again, man. So yeah, that's it. And any last thing you want to say, or that's it?
Oh no, yeah. Again, we could get into a big like back and forth about the history of SNL and it as a product. But yeah, it's one of those really fascinating things, in relationship to pop culture and NBC and it being part of, for lack of a better term, the dominant monoculture, especially in the 90s. Like, it stayed somewhat relevant to the internet because two things happened with the internet. In the 2000s, I should say, the rise and popularity of the proliferation of fake news, a la the Daily Show, and its clones over the last couple of decades, which I make the joke John Stewart's mill, right? But also the internet, the nature of the internet, humor, comedy, and then the back and forth, because a lot of people accuse SNL of being like kind of stealing a lot of material and stealing jokes and sketches and whatever it is, and it having a really fascinating like time right now of what does SNL mean now, because Weekend Update was not the fake news that Daily Show became, right? That is not the same thing. Weekend Update was different in terms of its conceit, and then now it is becoming like it is what the Daily Show is at this point. It's had to do the same jokes, right? It take that template, and because America have this inner pool of comedy writers and New York and wherever it is, it's a whole back and forth about that. Like there's a whole interesting conceit of what is irrelevant as SNL now and its history, especially in the context of its own history and its self-reflexivity. And so there's a whole like really fascinating, discourse we could have. Like we could talk for hours about it. But I just think it's a show that I like. I don't love. I remember Seth MacFarlane made a great bit about it, about how SNL, they have a few massively great sketches, but most of it is crap. Yeah, and correct. There's a Sturgeon's Law thing aspect to SNL. 90% of everything is crap, that kind of thing. But it's I don't know. It's an interesting like show. Like what it is, why it existed, for what it was, the conceit of it. Like we see all of it, but its manifestation of the sketch comedy is so fascinating because it did it longer. I don't necessarily say better. Like I don't think it's better than Kids in the Hall, for example. I don't think it's better than In Living Color, in my humble opinion.
Okay. I don't think well, good argument to make. Good argument to make.
Right. It's debatable about Mad TV because Mad TV I never felt, but then Mad TV ended up holding up a lot better than I thought in reference.
I liked, but I didn't love Mad TV neither. Yeah.
No, the thing with Mad TV is just watching who came out of Mad TV. Like,
right.
Shit. And it's people who I don't think got the best chance or best shot. And SNL is it's a hood ornament for a massive engine, right? A massive corporate engine. SNL is a hood ornament of that, and it works for what it is. But it ended up becoming its own self-reflexive conceit, as it is, for what it is. As I say, they made a sitcom about a parody of SNL airing on the network that aired SNL. Like that's weird, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of weird, right? Like that whole thing, and that come and go on in its own right. And the guy who was like the headliner, who's one of the biggest hosts at the time, which is Alec Baldwin, is the star of it, and then the head writer. So it's a whole thing, and it's very inside baseball stuff about this phenomenon, like for lack of a better word, just a pop culture phenomenon, and that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, and I would like to see. Like, I'm not a super fan, but it's one of those important things, and it's more interested in terms of its like just the machinery of SNL behind it, just to see how it plays out and its sociology, and it has so much like things to talk about. It is the locus of or the eye of an interesting vortex. So like I said, yeah, I for the most part like SNL. Don't love it, but like it, and it's more the discourse around it because of it's stamp on pop culture. So yeah, that's just me about that.